Hey everyone, this is Cindy, and you're listening to the Cindy Hales Show. This is going to be episode number 5 with my friend Jack Taufer. Jack is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt under Dave Kama down in California. He trains out of Orange County and also has a school in the Philippines. We talk about that, talk about traveling, talk about, life in general. It's still coronavirus time, so go over a little bit of that, how it's impacted us, how we're staying sane. So check out the episode, and you can check out other episodes at cindyhales.com. Also, check out our sponsor, Sleeper Jiu Jitsu. You can check out their online store at sleeperjj.com. So, again, episode number 5 with my friend Jack Taufer. I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, so we're live.
Cool.
We're
Thank
live.
you. First
There we
and
go.
foremost, thank you for having me on here. It's good to see you again. We haven't chatted for a minute.
I know, it's good to see you. Yeah, you called me a couple times. I think the last time you called me, I was like in bed in my glasses or something, and I was like, oh no. so, um, yeah, I'm super stoked to talk to you. What a weird time. So I'm glad. Thanks for making time to talk.
Yeah,
Um, I really appreciate it. So you're Jack Toffer,
yes, I
and
am.
I met you in Seattle through my friend Griff, and you're a black belt. And so I want to talk to you kind of about, uh, let's start first with like talking about being a black belt. How did you start? I know you started in like Salt Lake, right?
Yeah. Um, I was like a little punk rock kid, skateboarder, and would just end up in like weird locations, skateboarding and abandoned pools and alleys and shit. And I ended up getting like assaulted a couple times, and was like walking, just getting really nervous about shit all the time. So me and my buddy, we came up a plan. Like he goes high, I go low, or we crack him with the skateboard. But I was always like, just like nervous about stuff. And then what if I didn't have my board with me? So
Yeah.
fortunately, my cousin showed me the UFC, and it was like this was back in 1995, and also before the internet. So I just opened up the phone book and looked for Gracie Jiu Jitsu. It was the yellow pages, and Pedro Sauer was there, who's like regarded as one of the best instructors on the planet. So I saved up some. I had a little part-time job, and I saved up some money, and I got a private lesson from Pedro. And actually, no, I met one of his blue belts first. So I took some lessons from him for a little bit, and then went over to Pedro's, and that's how I got started. Yeah,
Dude, so that's pretty lucky. Like, you're a
it's like,
kid in Utah, and there's like the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world in Utah.
yeah, it was like, yeah, the luckiest, because I think at that time it was, you maybe had Helson. I don't know when Helson went to Hawaii, but I think he was in Hawaii. You had most of the
Mm-hmm.
brothers in Southern California, and probably Henzo in New York. And other than that, I don't think there was any other black belts, like known black belts, or in the U.S. Period. So it was like Pedro Sauer, who basically grew up almost as a Gracie, was right there, and I could take the bus because it was up this hill. I think it was 13th South. I forget the street, but it was up this hill, and I could train, and then I could just skateboard back home. And so it worked out pretty good.
So how old were you then?
15. Yeah,
15.
yeah,
Holy shit. That's
yeah,
rad.
yeah. It was. I was
Uh,
super lucky to start then. And I wish I didn't take some of the breaks that I took, but we all get to, if we get to black belt, we all have our own journey, as you know.
yes, I know. And
Yeah.
so you trained there. How far along did you get under Pedro?
I got my blue belt under him. Funny enough, I trained with him for a while, and then I ended up moving to California, and a family friend died, so I went back to Utah and trained. And he saw me roll like with a couple dudes, and he's like, "Dude, we need to give you your blue belt." And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And
Nice.
yeah, I asked who I got to. And he's loyal to Hickson and loyal to the Gracie family. So when I went back to California, he was like, "Yeah, you gotta train with the Hickson guys out there if you can." Yeah.
And so where did you land when you were out in California? So how did
I
that look?
So I ended up in Hollywood for a little while, and I didn't really know anything about like some of the politics and all that shit. But my I saw Heisen Judo Club. It was like around the corner from where my parents lived. I was like 19, 20. I was crashing at their place for a minute, and then so I took like 3 classes from like Judo Jean LaBelle, and also a guy named Goker was teaching. But that's like where Ronda Rousey came up, and Carl Parisian and those guys and Manny. But I only took like 2 classes there. And then I ended up in Orange County, and I took like 2 classes from Joe Morera. It was the only jiu-jitsu school I knew. And then I ended up taking a couple at a Carlson school. And funny enough, I walked into a tournament. I'm sitting down watching, and I look over, and it's this dude I remembered meeting in 1995 at a Hickson Gracie seminar. And I was like, I remember you. I rolled with you at the Hickson Gracie seminar. You were a brown belt. And he's like, yeah, I'm a black belt now. And I'm like, cool. Where's your school? I'm training with you. That's it. So I got his number, and I started with Dave Kama, who's a second American Hickson black belt. And then I've been with him for like 20 years now.
Oh man, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
You cut out a little bit, but you basically went Morera, couple classes, then Morera, then Dave Kama.
Okay, yeah,
2
classes at a Carlson
Yeah.
Gracie black belt. But yeah,
Okay.
it was literally just 2 classes with
Checking
Goker.
stuff out.
Yeah, I just didn't know where the Hickson guy was, and at that
Yeah.
time, it was like there was no, I wasn't like internet savvy. It was like, this is, I don't know. There's probably like dial-up AOL and shit, but I kind of just bounced around, and then when I found
Yeah.
Dave Kama, then I was like, okay, that's it, done.
Yeah, for real. I mean, that's pretty lucky just to have like both those like kind of old school level guys. Like, oh, they're in your area.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Get some access to some good guys. Yeah.
For sure. So Dave Kama, I know when you were up here, we talked about his school a little bit. What city is this in? Where he's at now?
He's, well, like a lot of people don't really know like the city. You kind of say LA, but LA could be like, it could be Santa Monica, or it could be like Burbank. It could be, so most people just say it's in Orange County, but if you want to know right now, it's in Laguna, I think Laguna Woods, I think is a technical city, but it's like, you just say
Orange
like,
County.
yeah, it's in Orange County. Yeah. So in the south part of Orange County, but not too far south, not close to, it's about an hour north of San Diego and an hour south of Los Angeles.
So to me, Dave Kama seems very fascinating because it's not someone that I think a lot of people know if you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
I think.
But he's pretty, like, being the second black belt from Hickson. That's like pretty special, I think.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it? How is he as a teacher? How do you like it? I mean, you obviously like it because you stayed.
Yeah. So I guess what happened was like, I don't know the exact dates because I wasn't there, but Hickson used to teach in LA, and then he used to surf down in Orange County, and he had a school down here in Orange County. And so he kind of taught at 2 locations. And so Dave was just in Orange County a lot, and then would drive up obviously to train with him in LA. And so when Dave got his black belt, Hickson's like, okay, this is your school now. So it was just Hickson Gracie, Orange County. There was only 2 Hickson schools. It was Hickson Gracie, Orange County, and then Hickson Gracie in LA. And then there was affiliate or satellite schools like in Japan or other places. But the kind of fucked up thing, but also the kind of cool thing is that he never had a website. He didn't advertise. He wasn't running it as like, hey, let's make money. Let's have this massive school, and let's do that. The only way you could ever find Dave is if you ran into him at a tournament watching, and then remembered him from 1995. But I think he might have been listed on Hickson's website when Hickson used to have the Hickson Gracie International Jiu Jitsu, whatever. But he was listed like as an official instructor of his. But
Okay.
But then he moved, and then it's like the address and the phone number is wrong. So it's like you could never find the dude. So for most of my from blue, because I arrived at him at blue belt, and pretty much up till brown belt, it would be like Dave taught every class, and then it'd be like me, a guy named Fernando, and like 2 other people. So it's just like a club of us just came up together, and then now it's more of like a school. We run it as a school, and there's a website and all that shit. Yeah.
It's evolved, like, because I remember in jiu-jitsu that was like kind of common, which seems weird as a business. Like, oh, you didn't really answer the phone or have a schedule.
Right.
It was just, like you showed up and Maybe they did some things, maybe not.
Yeah. Dave was always like consistent on the schedule. I think it was like Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays in the early 2000s. But it was always on time. We were always there. We always did, formal classes. But um, yeah, it was just kind of rogue. It was more just like a chill, like I don't know the word I'm looking for right now, but it was just a bunch of dudes just training together under Dave. Yeah, learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just there to learn. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know now you've started like been going to the Philippines and training over there
Yeah.
and doing an affiliate school over there. Tell me about your training there, how it is. I've never trained over there. What's the scene like?
I don't know the full jujitsu scene. I know that there's a guy, the first black belt in the Philippines. I think he's been there for a minute and he's got like 12 black belts. So they got
Okay.
that thing. There's a couple of other guys that are separate from that, that got like a school and they're expanding and growing. And then the school that I had ended up working that I own now, they were a Gracie, a CTC, a certified training center. You know, those like they're certified Gracie under the Gracie Academy.
Yeah.
So they
So
do
they
the
were
online.
that school under.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was down there. We're just going to call it School A. I was down there, all the names and all that shit. I was down with School A. They brought me in for a seminar about 4 years ago. And then last year in January, I was in Australia teaching. And they're like, hey, you're so close. Do you want to come up and teach at our school again? So I was all excited. And then School B, the Gracie Training Center, they were like, hey, we saw you're in town. Will you come and give us a private? And they were blue and purple belt, the owners of the school, and ended up working with them. And we just kind of clicked and things made sense. And I came back and I did like 3 or 4 privates. And then they followed up with me and flew me back out 3 months later and said, hey, we have an idea. We want to affiliate under you. Where they weren't happy with their situation. So they affiliated under me. And I was like, why don't you go under Dave Kama? Like, I don't have an affiliation. I don't have a website. I don't have it. And they're like, we'll figure it out. Let's go. I don't know Dave Kama. I know you. Let's do this. And so they were, super, super badass. And their jujitsu is really, really good. So I promoted Kevin to brown belt. And then his wife, her name is Ia, and she's a legit purple belt. So they both represent really, really well and are good students of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting, and like it's cool to see areas where it's like opening up and more jiu-jitsu's coming in, and yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, they're in Manila. I mean, Manila's a huge city, but there's a lot of competitors. A lot of people train, and then they go to like the Southeast Asian Games. I have friends down in the Philippines, Origins BJJ, but I think they might be like the second largest. But there's actually a fair amount of schools. I don't know all of them yet.
Okay, so there's a pretty big scene there. Have you do they have tournaments and all?
Yeah, but I haven't been. Yeah, I haven't been to them. I've never been to any tournament in the Philippines. In a perfect world, I would like to primarily teach self-defense and like fighting. And then if the guys want to compete, then teach, the sport jiu-jitsu, the point system, focus on strategy and all that shit. But it's not really the focus of what we're doing there. We're doing more just self-defense type jiu-jitsu.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah. So Jack, you've come up. I know I was super excited when you came. You did a couple seminars up here. You have for me, you were like one of the first guys that kind of came up and had the style like you have. I think maybe the Hicks and Gracie style, the older school style. I think it's like, to me, it was I hadn't seen that in the Northwest.
Yeah,
in
interesting.
This area.
Yeah, it didn't. So wasn't like the original guy who was up there. I think he bounced around affiliations, but I think because I remember his name looking at like grappling was it grappling? No, it was like Black Belt magazine back in the 90s, but it was like Marcus Saurus or Marcosaurus, or wasn't that kind of like the first guy up in the Northwest?
Well, so Marcosaurus was the first guy, and he's in Canada. So And then there's a guy that was really one of the first guys here in America in the Northwest,
And who's that?
named Marcelo Alonso.
Yeah. Okay. So, and he's a
They're
Marcelo.
both Carlson Gracie.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And I remember both their names from like back in the day. So they pretty much established the scene up there, correct? In the beginning.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So that, like, to me, you know, I started with Marcelo.
Okay.
And then, you know, I think he was really like, he touched most of the people in the Northwest.
Okay.
Most of the current, you know, my generation of black belts.
Yeah. He was the
did something with at some point, maybe not
yeah.
the full journey, a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he went back to Brazil, but it was definitely, even then, Gracie Baja has been up here.
Right.
Some different schools, you know, Diva, so one Jiu Jitsu, you know,
Oh,
but
Jiva,
I'd never really
yeah. Jiva,
seen.
their main school is just like a couple miles from where I live. Jiva, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has a big affiliation up here, another, you know, big school. But you know, I've trained with many of the gyms up here, and there was like some of the stuff you were doing was totally different. I was like super stoked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've seen, you know, who I've seen that I like that the pelvic tilt guard passing, you know, the posture.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen that with some Gracie Humaita people.
Okay.
I've never seen that, you know? So it's like, I find it super fascinating. Like, you can tell, like, definitely the lineage and team.
Yeah.
Through the moves, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, it was exciting when you came up. I'd like to definitely have you guys be back up to show some of that.
I'd love to train with you again. It's always weird when you tell a woman, like, you feel so heavy, or like you're a fucking monster, but you're a fucking monster. Like, yeah. So I would love to come train with you again. I was gonna say something. Oh, I was talking to a buddy about I don't remember who I was talking to, but about, it's kind of just like, oh, somebody asked me training with this guy who trained with Hickson a long time. He's kind of like a famous dude. I ended up rolling with him, and they're like, how's this game? How's this and that? And I go, you know, he's got that lineage. You can feel it. You know the techniques. You know what he's doing, because it's like that style of jiu-jitsu. So I was having to explain to a friend of, like, there's different signatures. Like, if you're a Half Gracie guy who trained directly under Half, you typically got this sort of a game. If you're a Carlson guy, you got this kind of a game. So there's like a Hickson sort of game. And also there's the Alio, like if you train with any of the guys from like the Gracie University, they have their own style of shit that they do. But it's kind of funny because you can all be doing the same sort of moves, but there's all these little adjustments and stuff that are just different from each group of people. So I was just thinking about that the other day, and you kind of brought it up, like you saw the Gracie Humaita / Hickson sort of style, and yeah, it's just cool that they have that. Yeah.
Man, I like it. You know, you can see it in anywhere. Like, I'll go. I ref a lot at the tournaments up here, and I can see, like, oh, dude, I can tell where some people are from. Yep. You know, you're like, I know exactly where you're from. I know where you're from, and it's like, it's neat to see that style. And then the personal style come out within that.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too, is like, if you and I took every one of the exact same fucking classes coming up, and we've both got our black belts at the same time, you might have we're gonna have that overlapping like signature on it, but you're gonna have your style and I'm gonna have my style, and we're gonna have different games probably, but there's gonna be that underlying that Hickson style, or that underlying Marcus style, or that underlying Half Gracie style. You know, it's like, it's kind of cool.
It's like the influences in music. You're like, okay, I can tell who you've been listening to
from
how you're playing.
Yep. Yeah. But like you and I are going to come up with different songs, but you'll see that same influence. Yeah. That's good.
For sure.
Yeah. I was going to say something else. I kind of lost my train of thought, but it'll come back to me. Yeah.
So I know I can say sometimes I get a little jealous. I see some of your pictures on Instagram. And you get to train with Hickson sometimes.
Yeah, right? I think actually that's what I was going to say, is that I've been real fortunate that back in the early 2000s, he was teaching at the academy, or the Hickson Gracie school up in LA. He was teaching there. So I got to go up and learn from him. but it was only on Saturdays. So it was like Dave during the week, and I would drive up on Saturdays to train with Hickson. And then, you know, he kind of just went off the radar and
Yeah.
just sort of disappeared for a while. But I think it was about 5 years ago, he wanted to help Crone get ready for his first MMA fight. So he said, look, I know it's real stressful to run a school. Let me come in and teach 2 days a week. So it was Mondays and Wednesdays at 11 o'clock. And then it was that. So he did that for like a year. And then the next year was about 4 years ago. He was just teaching 1 day a week. But I tried to go up to every single one of those classes. And then I've gotten to know him a bit better. And so we've done some privates and some group trainings, and any seminar he puts on, I'll somehow try to make it out there to just absorb what I can while I can, you know?
Yeah, he's one of those guys I've never trained with, but it's like, man, I need to make a special point, I think, especially as people start getting older, you know, and it's like, man, it's like, I think knowledge is going to get lost, or I'm not going to see it. It's going to be like, I'll regret it if I don't make that time to be able to train with certain people. And he's definitely like top of the list.
Yeah, he's like, it's kind of like a rite of passage. There's going to be like, I don't know, there's people who are on my list, but he's like, I got a chance to take like 3 classes with Elio Gracie. So I'm happy about that. I got to train with Helson, Horian. I got to train with a lot of those guys. I got to train with 1 class with Carlson Gracie. But I think like the new generation, they want to get at least one time in their lifetime, get a chance to train with Buchetza or Marcelo Garcia or like, you know, the Mendez brothers. But yeah, definitely for us who've been around for a while, Hickson is one of those fucking, you just got to do it once, especially while you can, you know?
Yeah. It's like there is a finite point to it. And so it's like, okay, I need to make that happen someday.
Yeah.
So
the other thing, do you mind if I say one other thing? I don't like it, he's been teaching a lot more recently. I see his Instagram too, and he posts photos of like privates at his house and stuff. But I think there's going to become a day when he's like, nah, I'm done. And then he's just fucking gone again. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm really
I would imagine.
Yeah. I don't know if he could ever step away like completely off the mats. Like, you know, his dad was on the mats up until his like 90s and stuff. But I think it's just so far embedded in their DNA but like it's going to be different from when they're like super passionate about like training a team or like whatever they're passionate about. And then if you're just kind of like, I'm retired, you know, like I quit. Like I don't have time to train. It's not worth putting the stress on my body, you know?
Well, that's what I assume is like, you know, there's a point, I feel this being little and like training for a long time. It's like, there's a point where it's like, dude, I don't want to put those miles on my body. Do you know what I mean? And I will respect that for other people. It's like, you know, other people aren't my like amusement park.
Yeah, right.
Did you know? I mean, it's like I appreciate the toll that like training with other people, and it's like I assume as people get older, it's like, man, you're not going to use those miles you have left to train with fans.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
You know? Dude, I appreciate it. So I'm like, you better get in before he feels that way completely.
Yeah. I had talked to Richard Bressler. Do you know who he is?
No.
Okay, he is the first jiu-jitsu student in America. So he's like 70, and I'm sorry, he's probably get pissed at me. I don't think he's quite 70. He's probably like 68 years old or something like that. But I don't know his exact age. But a friend of mine, Caleb, he's a black belt. He's got a podcast he's in Arkansas. Sorry, I'm trying to like put all the names together because he's affiliated with some other guys out there. But anyway, my friend Caleb did a podcast with Richard Bressler, and I was watching it, and Richard kind of said that. He goes, I stopped those hard training sessions and like sparring matches and going for fucking blood around 40, you know, and he's like, at that point in time, it was like about me and my training, and I got to pick and choose the battles, and I have nothing to prove. Like he did the original Gracie challenge matches. Like, yeah, if you can beat this little Richard dude, like if you beat him, then, you know, you can fight one of the Gracies. And they would go in there and just take him down, mount him, fucking choke him out. And, you know, the good old days. But I proved myself. Like I put in those miles and I put in the work, so I'm good for now. And it's just I don't need to roll with a a 230-pound blue belt. Just don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to that point and it was like I used to totally like, well, at first I was like, I need to do that. I wanted to fit in. And then it was like I felt like it was expected, like okay. And then it's like, oh, especially like running a gym. Like I do believe like, dude, you have to show what you have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I believe that. I believe in that. But it's like, dude, there's a finite point to it,
Right.
And now it's like, well, I show what I have through your students. I can show my credentials. And it's like I had to kind of come to terms with myself with that. It was hard. And it's not like always over. Sometimes, you're like, oh, and then it's like, Cindy, why'd you take the bait? Why'd you take the bait on that?
Yeah.
But
I think
it was freeing when I was finally like, dude, you don't have to do that. Your self-worth is not wrapped up in
getting injured. Yeah. I think you're in a good spot because you're old school. You're one of the dirty dozen of the girls and stuff, and like, but you also have fought and you competed at a high level, and it's like you've done all that shit. So it's like, what's funny about me is I haven't competed since purple belt, and it's like, I don't know about this shit you're showing me, dude. Like, who the fuck are you? So I still feel like slightly insecure and challenged a bit. So I like to go when I'm in shape. I like to have some good hard rolls and stuff, but still, if I'm not feeling it and I don't owe anybody anything, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to take a break. I'm sitting this one out. But but there's a point where Hickson actually on the last private lesson I had at Hickson, he told me that. He's like, dude, you got nothing to prove to nobody. It's your body. It's your skill. He's like, what I would like from you is just to share and teach jujitsu, the style that we do, self-defense, connection, invisible jujitsu. But that was his take on me. He's like, you don't need to go and fucking mess with the killers and all that shit. He's like, just teach, man. So
yeah.
At least
And I believe there's I believe people can identify, like you can feel it and be like, this is real.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
and
of course.
Then, and then it's like, dude, some people want to learn. And then there's people that like, you could win everything and they still are not going to fucking learn.
Exactly.
That's what I finally learned. It's like, dude, it's not on me. Like whether I have all these accolades or whatever, you're not going to learn from fucking anyone. There's those people. And it's like, dude, I can't freak out about that. And like in jiu-jitsu, for us, like running schools, it's like, dude, you can't sacrifice yourself because then you put yourself at a disadvantage. You can't share anything, if some jackass like puts you out.
Yeah. And I mean, like, then worse than that, like, I don't know how many instructors you have under you. I'm lucky that I got the two people in the Philippines who teach there. But if you get injured, you break an arm, you herniate a disc, and you're out for 6 months or a year, like, how the fuck are you going to earn income? So it's like you got to really protect your body. And you might have a real good support system of the people under you who teach and, whatever. But if you don't have that, then it becomes even more important to really just like protect yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned those lessons. I've had lots of surgeries, and I've been like, well, when I started the last school I was at, I was like about a year into it, and then I blew out my shoulder. I had a full shoulder rebuild. Do you know what I mean? And it was like I was out for a week, and then I was in a little sling, back to teaching. And people are like,
I think I remember that actually. Yeah.
And
was that like three years ago? How long ago? I think I remember that.
It was like right before I probably like just came back from it when I met you, right?
Okay.
I think it was like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
And before I'd had a cervical fusion, I've had a litany of things, but it's like, coming back like where it's like, this is my income.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't just take a break. It's like here, and it was like I definitely learned that. It's like, man, I have to treat this differently because it puts a lot at risk. And I think even if you don't have that at risk, like the notion that like your body is actually important, I think we kind of lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like the struggle and the sacrifice was more important than like the tool.
Yeah,
and I don't really believe that.
Yeah. Two other things, like kind of like on the same topic. When I came up, like jiu-jitsu, there wasn't, to my knowledge, it could have been in Brazil, but there wasn't an IBJJF. There wasn't tournaments. I was like So it was just, we were in there. It was about fighting. Like we were there to learn how to fight and do like original fucking jujitsu meant for Vale Tudo, like against the big opponent. So we trained hard, and it was like, I won't tap. And, I probably took some years off my neck for that shit. I'm like, I won't give up to this headlock, even though the guy, I'm a 145-pound kid. And I'm like, I can't tap to this guy who's been training longer than me and like twice my size and shit. So, I'm lucky that I started at least when I was made out of rubber. So it's like the damage wasn't as bad. And then the other thing too, I was going to just talk about that topic about livelihood and things like that. This fucking COVID-19 has got a bunch of jujitsu gyms in real trouble.
Dude, it's scary.
Yeah.
I'm in that space. I just opened a gym
Yep.
6 months ago, right?
Yep.
Brand new facility.
Yep.
And dude, it's crazy.
I
Every day. Well, that actually was like the impetus. I've been doing these podcasts. I have like 20 episodes, but I never pushed them out.
Okay.
And then I was like, I have like some social anxiety. I'm like, God, I say some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting on them. And then it's like, dude, I have nothing to do right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, okay, this is like something I can do, stay connected with people, kind of get them out and stuff. So it was like, dude, I'm kind of going crazy.
I know. I'm going a little fucking bananas. And it's like, I don't know, the jujitsu kind of people, it's like we're in jujitsu. We like to move our bodies. We like to work out our aggression. It's like someday, that's what I tell people who don't know about jujitsu. I'm like, some days when you want to just go home and just fucking punch someone or choke some motherfucker out. And they're like, yeah, I feel like that sometimes. And I go, the thing about jujitsu is I got to do it. And it's consensual and it's fucking great because the other thing too, it's so humbling because sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. You're gonna go in there as the baddest motherfucker and fuck everyone up tonight because you're angry about what happened at work, and then you just get your ass kicked. But then you're like humble and you're like, well, I worked up my aggression, got my ass kicked. Oh, I'm ready to go back to work. I'm ready to go back to life. So it's really nice to have that. But you take someone who's high energy like you, high energy like me, who likes to train, who likes to be active, and then you turn it to zero, and it's just like, fuck.
It's not a good thing,
No.
man. Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you, like, what have you been doing to try and cope with it?
Well, I have access to a private facility, so I have been teaching privates, just a couple of them. Funny enough, I taught 2 private lessons on online. So there were 2 students that have trained with me a lot, and so they didn't need to. They were kind of really familiar with it. They just kind of wanted refinements. And so it was really cool to train with them. And then one of my friends in Australia, he's like, dude, can you just record me shit? I'll pay you as a private lesson. They're like, yeah. And so I've been staying busy with jujitsu online a little bit. And then just having a couple I have like 2, 3, just really consistent private students. And we have access to where like nobody else is in there. It's just us. We train.
Nice.
So it's relative social distancing, they're careful with their bodies. I'm careful with my body. I'm working from home, so I'm not out and about contacting people except for on those instances. And then I shouldn't say this, but then like last weekend, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to get drunk. So I just got like super hammered for a couple days. And I was like, okay, I can't do that. I feel like shit. And then since I have access to that private gym, they have like kettlebells and they've got fucking heavy, so I've been trying to work out and do that too, and learning to cook and just talking to people like you, doing podcasts and fucking calling my friends in the Philippines, calling the Australians, calling my American friends. So I've just been trying to stay active like that.
Yeah. So how's your friends out in the Philippines? How are things there for them?
Dude, it's funny because I'm like, I think that they can't say anything public, but I found a clip of their president who's like, we're on military lockdown, and if you're out on the streets, it's shoot to kill. They will fucking assassinate you for being on the street. So
that's what I've heard.
Yeah. So having that amount of pressure, I don't think is ever good for one's psyche. We're all fucking scared enough for like touching a doorknob and then having it kill us because we get fucking COVID. And then on top of that, if you have to get something or you have an emergency, you have to go on the street, you might get gunned down. So they're having a bit of a hard time of it. All my friends in the Philippines at 2 different schools, I've talked to them, and it's just rough. But I mean, the other thing that's kind of like, I don't know if I've ever seen more memes and like funny shit sent to me on Facebook and the internet. So at least we're keeping some levity and group chats and things like that. But yeah,
Totally.
they're stressed out, and the gym, you know, they have to pay rent. They have bills to pay. They have lives to, you know, they have to feed themselves and pay rent for their mortgage or their house. And so, yeah, it's stressful for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I've been. I talked. Well, in Seattle, it was kind of like the first wave, like panic
Yeah,
in the U.S.
you guys got hit up there, New York, and you guys for some reason, right?
Yeah, and well, they thought we were going to get really hit hard. We were like the first place like people started dying, but it was like in an assisted living, like older folks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they thought like, oh, it's going to get bad. Gearing up, gearing up, gearing up. We were one of the first places like the schools shut down.
Yeah.
Like all of that, it ramped up pretty quickly. Dude, I was like, I knew about it. I tell this story. I was like I go into Costco on the first, like, get in my K cups. And
Yeah.
there was like all the people with all their fucking toilet paper.
Toilet paper. I know.
Dude, and I was just like, didn't know. And then I got to work and I was like, what the fuck? Right.
Yeah.
And then all the schools started closing. But now it's like we've flattened the curve. Like Seattle is pretty much okay.
Cool.
I talked to a person, I did a podcast with them, but I didn't get the audio. They were in China the whole time. Right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They've been in China this whole time in Beijing.
Yeah.
And then they just got out in March 16th and went to Canada, and now they're quarantined again. Right?
Oh, man.
It's a black belt that I met down in Nicaragua. And so him and his girlfriend have been over there. And so they said, yeah, it's been shut down. Anywhere they wanted to go, you need to like get your temperature taken to get into the grocery store.
Yeah, right.
Everything, like hard lockdown.
Right.
Get back to your neighborhood, take the temperature.
Yeah.
So, man, I kind of, I'm curious, like kind of thinking like I know here they shut things down in waves. Like, how will it open up? It's like, well, it's just like, what is the strategy to open up? You hear kind of that, like, well, we want to flatten the curve. And then you hear, well, we want to wait for a vaccine. But what's in that interim? I'm like wondering about that interim.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. And it doesn't seem like anyone knows.
Right. And that's the weirdest part. Yeah. If that's the weird, like, sorry, I had like three things during what you were talking about that I wanted to say. I was supposed to go to the Philippines, but it was right. They're like, we have one confirmed case. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. And they're like, dude, I think we should, let's wait for the end of the week, see how this goes. And then they had like 5 cases in that neighborhood. And they're like, look, I think we're going to shut it down. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be fine. And then they're like, you don't know the Filipino government. Like, you don't want to get locked here. So we have really some nice hospitals, but we got some shitty ones too, because you don't want to be quarantined at a hospital for 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. And he goes, and then if there's a government travel ban, you might get stuck in the Philippines for 6 months. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's cancel the trip. And then I had a seminar set up. I had 3 seminars set up on the East Coast, and we had to cancel those. And so it's all been just like, but then I'm more of like, I don't want to get into sex, religion, and politics, but there's like, it's funny, but like, you can criticize the administration. They're printing money. They're bailing people out. Like I told the Filipinos what we're doing, like people are going to get checks. A lot of companies are getting like, they're getting bailed out. They're getting subsidy. They're like cutting people slack and all that shit in the US. And they're like, we're not getting any of that. But, but the other thing, it's like, there is a valid debate, because as more and more data is coming out, it's seeming to me from the sources that I've been getting, and I don't watch the news religiously, but I do stay up a little bit on this, like just kind of check things out. But the 98% of people are going to be okay. Like, actually, I think you're going to air this, and then people are going to shoot me emails like, you idiot, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But
people are dying.
Yeah. But any life lost is unfortunate.
True.
So like that, I definitely feel that way. But I think the amount of people, I think the reaction was an overreaction. And And then if you shut down the economy and people lose their businesses and small businesses, I follow financial stuff, and there's millions and millions of people filing for unemployment. And so, so like that's going to affect people. People are going to go homeless. They're going to lose their jobs. They're going to get their cars repossessed. They're going to get evicted. They're going to get all that kind of shit. It's going to cause a big fucking problem. And it's like, so it's a weird balance of like, we don't know how bad it could be if we don't do the lockdown. But if we completely shut everything down, how bad is it going to be for the long run? So it's kind of like a weird balance, but nobody fucking knows. So it's like, you kind of want to err on the side of caution.
Yeah. I try and wrap my head around it, and I'm not a economist. I'm not a infectious disease expert. I'm not even really like super smart, but it's like, dude, I can see like, dude, the implications, like pretty much every conversation I have with a person, I realize like a new implication that I didn't think of. Do you know what I mean? Like they tell me something and it's like, oh my God, I never thought about that.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, and then that's scary to me. It's more, those like, because it's like, well, there's one disease, there's a disease, and then there's like infinite implications, and like, dude, it's, like, and then there is these political, like, I think people are like, I don't like this person.
Right.
So I'm not happy with how they're handling it.
Right.
And then if you are agreeing with this person, then you probably you hate babies and old people and, and it's like, dude, no, I want the best for everyone.
Right.
I feel very stressed out, it's the first time I'm like, I have some friends like I remember that would talk about like the financial collapse of 2008. And I'm like, dude, I missed that because I was poor.
Yeah.
Right. Totally missed it.
Right.
This time it's like, dude, it's a disease. I'm not missing it. I'm a business owner now.
Right.
I'm like, dude, it's shut down. And so I'm like wearing all these hats about like how I'm thinking about it.
Right.
I make some like, I have a podcast that I like. I'm like, dude, I make light of like people dying, and it's like, dude, it's like, I don't feel that way. It's like so crazy. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, there's like, if you say, well, thank God Trump did $2 trillion, and then you're like, you're a Trump supporter now, and you're like, I like that he did too. It's like you can get politically stigmatized, and then people gang up on you. Then you're all of a sudden a socialist, or you're it's like people are just, they'll box you in on stuff like that. It's just it's nuts, and I do think we'll pull through. We've gone through some shitty times in the U.S., and we're not rioting like the fucking LA riots. You had guys that just people just fucking looting and burning down buildings and all that stuff. So it's like everyone's really polite, although we're far away. It's like, hey, how are you? I think we're just happy to have a social interaction with people, even though we're like 6 feet apart at the store. But it's like, hey, how's your day? Like, oh, I'm doing really good. So at least it's not like the fucking wild, wild west and pillage and plunder and all that stuff. But I did want to say one other thing is there are specific people who make money by sharing bad news. Newspapers, they get more ratings when it's not like, hey, 10 puppies were born today and they're healthy and happy. You're like, when you get something that puts someone in fear and anxiety, they fixate on it. They're like, oh fuck, what do I got to do? So every news media channel is just inundating us with fucking just doom and gloom and fucked up shit, and then this and that. And so politicians, if I want to get elected, I would talk about how bad and fucked up and horrible Trump is doing, or other organization, or this or that, because I would do this. So I'm just conveying bad news to you so I can look better. But newspapers make money off of bad news. Politicians make money off of bad news. The fucking morgue makes, money off people dying and shit. So there's like all these different drug companies. They make money off pushing disease. And like, I'm not saying drugs aren't necessary, but they make money off of like that type of stuff. So that's what their advertising is, whether it's for ADD or whether it's for this or that. It's just bad news. And then it just makes you just constantly like, I feel like the biggest bully in my life is the fucking doorknob. I'm like, oh, fuck, I touched the doorknob. Like, I'm going to die. And it's like,
Yeah.
when I stopped watching the news and the media and I've limited my stuff on Facebook, it's like, I feel a lot better. And I can, when I do watch TV, I watch a comedy and it's like, I just feel a little bit better about shit, and I like talking to people like you. And it's like, so that has actually helped me, and also in the
Dude,
beginning.
I've done the same thing. I don't try and like engage with the news. I try to like get the quick hits.
Yeah.
Right? I basically have some things. I get a little notifications. This thing happened in general.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I try to talk to people, and man, I get like too much anxiety. If you feed that and just like consume it, it's like you can get into like work yourself up. It's like if someone just shakes you.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't want to let that in.
For someone like you or me, it's like with that much stress and bad news just pushing on us, and then my knee hurts. I'm like, wait, is that an ache and pain, or is that just from fucking training 2 weeks ago? It's like you just fucking go in your head and go. It's a good way to make someone psychotic, and then you don't let them fucking interact with like friends and shit. It's like it's a perfect thing to make people go fucking bananas.
Yeah, like, well, you look at what happens when people they go in isolation in prison. It's like not good. It's torturous. Do you know what I mean? And like, not like we're like imprisoned, but it's like, dude, it's not good. I think about like I feel bad for like little kids. They're like locked inside, like learning to be afraid of everyone.
Right.
Yeah. There's like already so much anxiety in the world, and now there's a thing that tells you that everyone is bad.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, that's
scary.
A good point. Yep.
That's like a scary, like, that's like a scary thing. Like, dude, I could see myself like, oh my God, they told me I couldn't be around these people. I see like the neighbor kid try to go play with the other neighbor kid, and they're like, no.
Nope, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah.
Go back inside. Do you know what I mean? That's gotta like be a little damaging.
Oh, I think, yeah. It's funny how you said you think of other implications. That's another one. It's like, first off, kids are told not to, candy from strangers is bad. People are going to try to rape and kill you. So, like be safe, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like this invisible sickness might kill you if you go play with your friends. So I didn't even think about how it is going to affect kids, view of the world. They're going to just, I didn't even think about that one.
And they're out of school and they're with their crazy parents that are like also super stressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, how are you? I'm stressed and like, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I have a dog. We go on walks. The biggest thing is I don't like get to hang out.
Yeah.
Right? I'm still kind of doing what I do.
Yeah.
Just no people. But like, man, the people that like, oh, you're stuck in a situation, or dude, your whole family doesn't have jobs and now you're locked in the house.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I love my parents, but if that would have happened to me as a child, I don't think that wouldn't have been a good situation.
Right. Yeah. The one thing, like my little nephew, the kids are doing school online and stuff, but at least he's got social, like a lot of kids nowadays, they're like heavy into video games and things like that. And they talk shit to each other online. They have online friends. So at least they have that as like, it's still not like pure social, like true interaction, like ride your bikes and go sledding if you have snow and stuff like that. But at least you can play video games and interact with your friends, in a way that's fairly normal to you as a modern kid,
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's the same for adults. We have this.
Yeah.
We have like all the knowledge of the world at our fingertips. So
I would still try to rather choke you though, Cindy, than talk to you on try to choke you out in person rather than talk to you online. But at least we have
for
this.
Real. At least we have this. Yeah. I'm like, it's still not the same. I was talking to someone and they're like, do you think it'll ever go back to normal? Like maybe we're going to have to jiu-jitsu at a distance. And I'm like, I don't believe that. Like, I can't let my mind think that like, well, I'll only grapple on a dummy or in a Zoom class. I'm just like, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to go there.
No, I don't, but I don't
people
know.
Need people.
I don't know if this will, I don't know if this will change the course of just human interaction, but like, even if it's just a couple degrees off, in one direction or another, like always social distancing at the grocery store, always, it's like mandatory mask wearing, or I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm hoping that we completely overreacted, or I'm hoping that the actual death rate is going to be at the 0.2. And it's like, you know, people who were like, you know, I'm hoping it's like that, but the only time will tell. We just got to kind of wait it out, you know.
Yeah, I'm hopeful too. You know, I allow my brain to spin off for a second, but ultimately I'm hopeful for, you know, we made it through the Spanish flu and we
Yeah.
didn't have all the things. Do you know what I mean? Like humanity overcomes.
Yeah, exactly.
It may not be fast. It might not be as fast as I want it to be, which is now.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be that fast, but
Yeah.
it like as a people, as a human species, it's like, we'll make it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's been, you know, yeah, there's been lots of stuff that's kind of shook us, but yeah, it's fucking weird. I was listening to a podcast and there's like, it's so weird to have this. There was, I think it was, maybe it was a Spanish flu, but I don't know if that was in the 60s or if that was when that was, but there was a wave of that shit that went through. It's like people went back to normal and you go back to life and yeah.
Well, and I think it was like, there's been like the N1H1 and all of, you know, there's been a lot of them that SARS and MERS and all.
Yeah.
It's like we just didn't get impacted. That's what, you know, a lot of this, it's like, man, such a weird thing that like, it's all perspective. Where
Right.
are you looking at the problem? Because like,
Right.
you know, even the pandemic, like I can say like right where I am, I don't see any pandemic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
in my like
in your
immediate
bubble. Yeah.
in my
Right.
field of view, the only reason it's truly like I feel it is my gym is shut down. Do you know what I mean? I don't know anyone who's died.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone.
I don't know
I know
anyone
some
who's
people who
sick
have
with
got it.
Okay.
I know a girl who was like the first person to recover from it.
Nice.
She
Okay.
was a nurse.
Okay. And
Right?
did she didn't have to go on a ventilator and shit. She just felt like shit for a few days.
Felt like shit, quarantined for a week, 2 weeks, whatever,
Mhm.
recovered.
Yeah.
So, yeah, jiu-jitsu girl,
Oh.
made it through. Actually, another guy who trained with me, he had it, sick, fine. I actually was like sick right before it shut down. I'm like, maybe I already had it.
You very well could. Because I heard someone else talking about it, and they very well could have spread through the U.S. in November. It actually could have. So a lot of people could have had it because I guess they're testing people for the antibodies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So one of the tests that shows, hey, my body has these indicators that I fought it off. And there's a lot of people who tested positive, but never got sick. So it's like a lot of people. I'm like, I might have had it. I felt like shit a couple of weeks ago. I didn't feel like shit. I felt like a little bit off, but I don't know if that was just because I was so in my head or whatever. But I felt a little weird and like, I don't know, how do I feel? I bought a thermometer. My temperature was fine. I'm like, I'm probably fine, but I very well could have had it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like maybe 2 weeks before it was like really bad here, I was like deathly ill. I'm like, dude, I probably, you know, it was in Seattle
you very
early.
well could have had it.
Totally could have had it.
Yeah.
And I have the kid that trains under me, like my main kid, and he was sick right before it. And I'm like, dude, you gave me fucking coronavirus, dude.
Yeah.
So I like to think that I'm like already have the antibodies.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going with that.
Hopefully they'll be able to get tests and stuff like that, and then have everything go back to fucking normal, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So, yeah, it'll be.
Let me ask you a question.
Nice.
Yeah, it will be nice. What was a pivotal point in your jiu-jitsu path? Like, what's something that like changed the course of whatever?
Dude, well, there's been a lot of them. I can say most recently, the big, you know, I was about to break up with jiu-jitsu, Jack.
Oh, no shit.
For real.
Whoa.
I like almost broke up with jiu-jitsu. When I, like 2 years ago, you know, I was like, well, maybe even like, it was like kind of ongoing. Like, I was like, dude, is this a smart decision? Like, I've done all the things that I've done. I was running a school, but I wasn't owning a school.
Right.
I was like maxed out at where I could be. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was literally like, dude, there's nothing left for me to do in
jiu-jitsu. If you want more money, you have to go teach at a second school or like you're just maxed out at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you know, I was a fairly well-paid jiu-jitsu instructor full-time in Seattle at someone else's school. And then I was like, I don't know. And I didn't think I had the resources, right? Then, well, I decided to get a fight, and I was like, I'm going to fight my way back to make enough money to buy a school. And then I
Yeah.
got knocked out. Okay.
Okay.
And so then that was like, okay, that's good, because that's not a smart idea. But then something came up like, oh, do you want to buy the school? And I like really like looked at it, and I'm not a, a financially smart person. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand. I'm not
Yeah,
very savvy,
you didn't run a business before, right?
right? And I was like trying to understand how to value this business. Wasn't my business
Yeah.
that I was going to maybe buy. And then I just kind of like, mainly I was like, what would I need? How I looked at it was like, I need a partnership team that can help me with the things that I don't have, because that's what I
Right.
think is of value,
Yeah.
right? That's what I would want, a partnership. And that wasn't really the situation. So I was like, dude, I even like went and tried to rent this like warehouse space, and I was going to turn into like, just like break up with jiu-jitsu and live in a warehouse space. I don't really
Teach,
know exactly what.
teach,
It was
teach,
kind of,
teach privates on the
dude, just,
side for food money
I
and
don't
just stay in a
know.
warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, dude, I'm just not gonna. I can't. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll teach, but I'm really gonna kind of check out of
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. And then I was like listening to all these podcasts and like really obsessed with like self-improvement,
Hmm.
right? And I'd never like thought about that. Like, dude,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do with myself?
Right.
With my giving up my lifelong passion, breaking up with it, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, had asked this guy to help me, like, how do you value a business, when I was looking at buying the business. And then I was like, oh, I decided on my own, I'm not going to buy it based on this other criteria. And then
Yeah.
he came back in town and was like, dude, do you want to still talk about that? I was like, almost didn't go meet him, because I was like, already
Like,
made the
no.
decision,
Yeah. Done. Yeah.
right? Being a fucking weirdo, I wasn't going to go. And then I ended up like, oh, I'll just go eat lunch. Dude, he's like, yo, I can help you with a school. We
Yeah.
started talking. And I'm like, this is like a business dude that I'd like done privates with, and
Yeah.
like was like one of my students, and like totally got along with him. And then we like just started looking for a school, and like really
Yeah.
I shifted, my whole focus shifted. I had now access to someone who could teach me about business. And I'd been like trying to learn about business and like study business books and try and figure it out,
Yeah.
and then I had someone, dude, I'll help you. And so, man, that's been like, I like kind of like, I look at like, I'm a jujitsu instructor, but more importantly, like I'm trying to be a black belt in business. That's my
That's
goal in
awesome.
life,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
like applying, like I've like tried to really like spend the last 2 years, well, trying to like, we came up with the whole thing, setting up the school, did all of that, a lot of bumps in the road,
Yeah.
right? Massive ones. Dude, my partner stood by me after getting fired from a school. I was like very worried about that. Like,
Yeah.
did they join for me? Did they join for this other franchise?
Right.
How is that gonna, like all these things. And it's like every step of the way was like, dude, I made the best decision of partnership. Like
Awesome.
I'm like my own person.
Hmm.
I'll say it that way. Like
Yeah.
I'm very like, you either like me or don't like me. I'm like very intense in like weird ways,
Yeah.
right? And dude, they just like help me out, and it's like
Awesome.
it's been the best thing. Like I've like gotten all these opportunities come up. Like I kind of just like, as everything like progressed. So that's been like the biggest like change. Like I said, like being like open to not like trying to win in the gym. Oh, like kind of just opening my mind to like, dude, I'm gonna be open to people that like the exact same stuff as me, and just do exactly what I want to be doing, and those people are gonna come around, right? And it's been happening, like the project in Nicaragua,
Yeah.
like everything, like just like, dude, I'm gonna be open to like people who want to talk about the stuff I want to talk about, and just be like really clear about like, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm, kind of like the watching TV and watching crappy junk for your mind. It's
Hmm.
like trying to kind of cut out those relationships,
Right.
cut out that input. That's like, dude, and people are like, all the smart people I started talking to, they're like, you already have it in you, like, and it's shown like through your accomplishments in these other areas. Like if you apply those things to your new goal of being a
Right.
business black belt,
Right.
you'll be successful.
Yeah, you
And
got
I
to go
never thought of that.
train every day, put in the hard work, put in the reps, put in the miles, and the next thing you know, you're doing it and you got it figured out.
Dude, and it's been working. Like, you know, when I didn't have a school, I would just show up at like this office every day, and I taught myself like all the accounting side of stuff. I
Mhm.
taught myself like all the SEO. I taught
Cool.
myself like been doing all the branding. I've been like learning about import export. I've been learning about like we built my whole gym
Yeah.
like from the ground up, like
Right.
art
Yeah, the
from like a
walls and the
draft.
studs. Right.
Like we drew it out on some like scratch paper, and then I went to an architect and we went through all the everything, like every step of the way. I learned about all of it. It was fucking like, dude, I've
Yeah.
never had the access to a project like that. And it
Right.
was like, dude, I just feel super lucky. It was like, man, so now it's like, how do I like kind of apply like what I learned there to get through the coronavirus stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's like, it's like, but what I know, it's like, man, I know what my mission is. We have like a strong business plan, right? And we like how to, like my partner, he's like, dude, we're like a business that was like built the right way from the ground up, right? And we have our plans in place, and that's what we're gonna do. Do you know what I mean?
Awesome.
And we have to think about this like it's hard, right? It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, we just like it's super easy, but it's like, dude, it's a pause, and we're gonna hunker down. And you know, I'm good at hunkering down and like living frugally. Like
Yeah.
I've had practice at that. Like that's why I'm like, dude, all the things like
All these lessons
that
are
I already know how to do. I already
right.
know how to be like, I just lost my job last year, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I've already been doing that. It was easy,
Right. Yeah.
you know, and now I have something here. I have this tangible that I'm trying to save. And so it's just like, dude, it's easier. Like all of this too, I'm like, it's way easier than my training for fighting.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I used to hear people say that, and it's like, dude, I had some brutal training camps in my career. I had some brutal weight cuts. Like, you know what? Like, not, you know, not having the best of things is not as bad as not eating,
Yeah. Right.
right? You know.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like,
Literally starving. Yeah. Like, right.
yeah, for like a
Well,
month, not
let me,
eating and training and getting beat up. Like,
yeah.
this isn't that hard.
Right. Let me say this. What your story is very inspirational. So that's very cool. And then also congratulations on your gym. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I saw that post you posted the other day about being, I forget who the mats are. I don't want to say the wrong name, but how they posted like, hey, check out Sleeper Jiu Jitsu. And who was that? What mat company?
Dolomer. The
Dolomer. Yeah. I'm
Dolomer.
like, I didn't want to say Swain or Fuji or so yeah, Dahmer,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's super cool. Like, and you did that. That's awesome. And you inspired enough
Yeah.
confidence in your business partner to get him on board, and he obviously inspired you enough to feel comfortable doing it, and you did it. Awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like really crazy because I opened a gym once before, and it's like, and then it shut down. You know,
Mhm.
I failed, like,
Yeah.
you know, and I had that whole thing, and then it's like, oh man, to do it, it was like a dirty warehouse gym, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's
Old
like
school.
old school gym. And
Yeah.
then now this time, then I went back and I went back to a place that I quit and begged for a job basically and did that whole, you know, it's like, dude, I've gone through like
Yeah.
all of those steps, you know, the
Right.
growth steps, and like made a lot of mistakes. And like now it's like, oh yeah, now I'm pretty prepared to fight coronavirus, really.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
And the other thing too is like I don't know who owns your building or anything about your lease and all that shit, but any landlord is going to be willing to work with you because if you vacate it and then a bunch of other people vacate it, they still got a mortgage to pay. So everyone's going to kind of work with each other on all this shit. You'll probably have some savage assholes of business people who just come in and like, no, boom, I'm taking all your shit. Boom. There's probably going to be some of that, but I don't think a lot of real estate people are they need to pay their mortgage. It's like your landlord, whoever owns that building, has to pay somebody. And it's like if all the tenants
Totally.
leave, then they're fucked. So it's like, okay, guys, let's sort this out together.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah. Anyway, I think things will kind of sort themselves out here. I hope. Yeah. But anyway, that's a really cool fucking story, and congratulations. And it's funny you telling me it's so funny. Like I just talking to you, I've been having all these memories about. It's been a minute since I've been to Seattle, but I'm like, I remember driving by the T-Mobile building because of all the lights and shit. I remember being in like going to that big gym. I don't like the Gracie Baja gym down there. I remember visiting there and training with you, and then getting yelled at for not having a it was a plain white gi and I didn't have a Baja patch on, and I getting admonished for that, like yelled at for that. And then like
Yeah.
Griff's gym and all that stuff, and just like the weather up there. I went to like I forget what they call it, Alki Street, and just seeing like the skyline across the water. Um,
Oh
you
yeah,
know that
Alki Beach.
Alki, yeah,
Yeah.
there. So it's just funny. There was this fucking couple of crazy rainstorms that happened when I was up there, and I watched this huge branch almost fall in the car. But and then I went and I had fun at a couple bars in the little downtown, not downtown, but in that northern area, up kind of by Griff. And then there
Yeah,
was
in Edmonds, Linwood.
yeah, Edmonds, yeah. Oh, and then the fucking crazy coffee shops with the bikini girls and shit. Like it's so funny just remembering all these different things that I
Did
experienced
you
up
go
there.
to one of the like massage places on 99, Jack?
Yeah. So I was feeling like shit. I was teaching at Griff's, and I'm up there for a seminar, and I come down with this fucking cold and flu. I'm staying at his house. And he's got the kiddo running around, and I'm not part of that family. I don't want to get anyone sick. And I'm like, I'm gonna go across the street. And he's like, dude, I wouldn't do it. And I'm like, it's how can it be that bad? It's like 2 blocks from your house. I walked there and I was like, fuck that. I turned around and walked back out. Yeah, that was pretty shady. Yeah, that was a pretty shady spot. Yeah. Because I
Yeah, I
walked
think he
in.
was telling me about that. You know, my gym is pretty close to that. It's on that same street, basically, but
Oh,
more
okay.
north. And
Yeah,
it's
I
like you
walked
see
in
some
and there's
crazy
like
stuff.
bars or something. I forget now, but I remember when I walked in, I saw a bed where like people were living in there, and I was just like, and the lady was in like a skirt. She was like this 50-year-old Asian lady. I'm like, that, that, I gotta go, gotta go. Yeah. So then I went back to Griff's house. Yeah, that was fucking funny. Um, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of like some of the. I actually texted Griff. It might have been 6 months, maybe when that time where I was texting you and Griff at the same time. He's like, I'm actually with Cindy right now, and then yeah, it's just funny having all these memories come back of that area. I
Well, and
did,
I think my favorite Jack memory, and I tell people, I'm like, no, dude, because you were like up here kind of around the same time when all of like Invisible Jiu Jitsu was getting hot, right?
yeah,
Invisible Jiu
with
Jitsu was
Henry
hot,
and yeah, right,
Henry and everything.
yeah,
And I always, here's what I tell people, Jack. I'm like, dude, if you want to learn that, don't go to Aikens. Aikens is great. Jack is better. And Jack will like after the seminar eat pizza with you and then get down on the floor and like move everything and show you more shit. Because you were like, oh no, let me show you this other thing, Cindy. Hey Cindy, come here. Move all the table. Move
yeah.
this stuff. And then like here, I'm gonna show you more stuff. It's like,
That's awesome.
man, you are like a super fun, like I like, I don't like when I go to seminars and people are just like definitely there for the hour.
Right. Yeah, it's like
Right?
that's it. Time to go. Where's my check? I gotta leave. Yeah.
I'm not down with that. And I like we talked earlier, I do appreciate the toll on people's bodies and everything. I totally get that, but I think like being willing and open to engage with people, it's like that's part of it.
Yeah.
And it's like some people just aren't into it, and I totally get that. But it's like, well, those aren't the great seminars. That
Yeah.
it's like, man, I like people. It's like I don't care about like, well, it goes back to our thing of like having something to prove. It's like I don't think people have something to prove. If people come and they're not like, if you don't have the credentials, but you come in and show cool moves and are like
Yeah.
really engaged,
Yeah.
right? Engaged with the people. That's the important part. And it's like,
Right.
that was at your seminar. It's like, you were super engaged with everyone. You were like engaged with material and you were stoked about it,
Yeah.
And like, dude, that's why it's like, I remembered, I'm like, dude, that guy was rad. I was telling people,
Oh,
like,
thank you.
go train
Yeah.
with that guy. He's rad.
Thank you. For me, it's like
Yeah.
I get to go to cool places and meet cool people that have similar interests. But I talked to, I think, I know one gym right now. They were gonna have me back, but the timing fell through, but I think every gym has had me back. Like actually there's one who asked me to come back. But I think every gym that I've been to, they're like, dude, you want to come back? Like, let's see you again. Like Australia, Philippines, all the gyms, but New York, there's guys who've had me back like 5 times and shit. And yeah, but for me, it's like I got to just engage with people that I like that do the same shit, you know? And so
Totally.
for me, teaching and shit, like I've had so many aha moments and like Hickson showed me some shit and I was just like, in 20 years, I've never fucking seen that. So I get really excited about giving someone else that, dude, you want to see something fucking rad? Like, check this out. And then they're like, oh, I never saw that either. But yeah, I really.
Dude, well, you did that for me because I'm like, dude, well, you showed me a few things and the concept of the middle. Like,
And
oh, the middle.
yeah,
trying to stay in the middle and then you're not too far from anywhere. And like all these little things, like, oh, dude, that's so basic and like so, like, amazing, right?
yeah,
It's like
it's
all
cool
that's
concept.
all the Hickson stuff, all that invisible stuff. It's like when you see it, you're like, dude, it's not fancy. It's like so right there and simple and
Yeah,
elegant.
yeah,
You know, I'm like,
yeah,
dude, like you're almost, it's like nothing better than something where you're just like, how'd I miss that?
right.
It's so plain as day when you see it. Like when someone
Yeah,
points it out, you're like, that's the best way to describe that
yeah,
concept or whatever. And definitely I've seen that with like the connection stuff, all of
yeah,
that's like I'd never learned jujitsu through that.
right, right. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like there's shit that obviously I need to work. We all are going to keep working on our jujitsu and learn more about and get better about and stuff like that. But the last 2 privates I had with Hickson, it was kind of like he anyway, just getting even a more and more deeper understanding of all those concepts of connection and the middle and like all the different stuff that he has. But yeah, it's just been fortunate and fun. But sorry, I'm just like going back on. I was just thinking about these lessons I had with Hickson recently, and it's still. I think I'm still processing it. You know what I mean? It's just like fuck that guy. It's so crazy to me that he figured out so much shit. But I guess you know you grow up in it. You're doing it since you're a baby, and you have this grandmaster who gives you that, and then you have this time in your life to then evolve it and work on it and perfect it and stuff. But yeah, I've been even learning just more and more about that. Just even still. And as my mind has been blown over the last couple of years, many more times by Hickson. It's been fun.
Yeah, well, you know, that's exciting too, just like the depth of things. Like, you know, when I hear people like, oh, you've trained with the same lineage for 20 something years, but it's like, dude, I'm still learning shit. You
Yeah,
know, I feel
exactly.
that way. Dude,
Yeah,
I'm like every day, just like, oh shit, this
yeah,
thing I did, or like I'll take like a concept and like, oh, I'll apply it here now. And then you're like, totally different, right?
yeah,
I'll learn like one concept, apply it all across the board, think
yeah,
about that, like each move within that frame. And it's like, dude, okay. And then you can just keep unraveling like that. And then, man, with the new school stuff that kids are doing too, like all the like the fancy shit, you know, it's
yeah,
like, man, it's just pretty endless still. We haven't learned, I think, and like capped out on that as a sport. You
yeah,
know, it's
totally.
still
Yeah,
evolving.
yep, yeah, yeah. It'll never end. Yeah, hopefully it'll never end, and you'll never know all of it. But you just kind of have to,
Yeah.
yeah, work on your shit. I was gonna say too, Hickson. He blew my mind in closed guard. He's like, you're never on your flat on your back. You always have your hips to this side or to this side, always. And then if you think about it, like if your body is at an angle this way, so you're just like I'm in the closed, like this is my body here. My legs would be like wrapped around you.
Yep.
You're at a side like that. So when I break down your posture, I can't put my hands on a flat surface because your body's kind of at an angle, and then it makes it so much easier. You know what I mean? Because your body's sideways. So
Yeah.
when the person falls and puts their, it's not like they're falling and putting their hands on something flat. They're
Yeah.
falling and putting their hands on this thing that's kind of sideways, and then it's easier to attack the
They
arm.
slip off for the drag or whatever for
Exactly.
any of that kind of like off angle.
Exactly. And then when they
Dude.
try to correct that, then you switch your hands
Yeah.
to the other side, and then they're like, oh, then it's like, yeah. So his hips are really nimble like this. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was like 20 fucking years. Nobody fucking,
Yeah.
25 years I've been doing jujitsu. Nobody taught me that. Or
Dude,
it's
and it
funny.
makes perfect sense just even having you explain it. And it's like, yeah, you're pre-winning the angle.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't start flat, pull them down, and then try to get an angle. It's like start with an angle and have them slip off. Yeah. So that was like, yeah. Why didn't you tell me that before? And what's really funny is I remember him saying that one time 4 years ago or 5 years ago when he was teaching at Crohn's. He's like, oh, is that, like this? But he didn't go into depth on it. He said it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, and then
I already do that. I already do it just in the wrong order.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. I do step 5 first, just so you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like funny that like the mind blowing things are like the thing he just like mentioned.
Yeah.
It's so like obvious. It's like, oh, so obvious. How, I know as a teacher, I've been like, how do you not get this? It's so obvious. And it's like, then someone else is saying like, dude,
hey, yeah.
why don't you get this?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to hear a really embarrassing story?
Of course.
Okay. So I got plenty of those, but this one, I'm in a group private. Well, it's I don't want to, anyway, so it's me and this other black belt. And Hickson goes, okay, here's how you set up the move. Do this with your leg, put your foot on the ground, and shift your hips on this one move. And I go, Hickson, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah, what's up? And I go, well, one of your black belts, so-and-so, told me never put your foot on the ground. Always use their body to move your body. And he goes, okay, so what I was saying was put your foot on the ground. Like he didn't want to even, he was like, I'm literally telling you how to fucking doing it. And you're saying that one of my black belts that I gave a black belt. You're like, okay. Anyway, so it was really embarrassing. And I thought about that the other day and I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like,
why did I ask that? How come I didn't keep that in my mind for a little long?
Exactly. Yeah, just shut up and learn from Hickson and see what he has to say about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we've all been there. I will do those things and then be like, dude,
God
you're
damn
doing
it.
it.
Yeah.
I was like learning I was like learning to box and do some judo from this guy.
Is that the Russian dude?
It was like the Russian dude. Oh, you met him, Eugene.
Yeah.
And he would be like, freeze or whatever, and I'd fucking do the thing that everyone does when you tell him to stop. Fucking all kind of crazy shit, right?
Yeah, right.
And he's like, and he did the thing like, no, freeze means freeze.
Yeah.
And I say that to people, and it's like, oh, damn it. Ah.
Yeah, I find myself as an instructor sometimes fucking up on that because I want them to stop. They'll be like, stop. And then they let go and I'm like, no. Okay, dude. So it's like, I have to pick like words like pause, freeze, or stop. Like they have to mean things because the person's body is exactly where you want it. And you're like, okay, freeze. Okay. And then now here's what you do next or whatever. And I'll say like, stop. And then they go limp and like look at, I'm like, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. And then when someone told me to do it, I like knew what he wanted me to do in one way, but did what everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Try and do it better or like totally stop. And it's like, oh man, you're doing it. Anytime I learn new things, it's like great because it's like I do all the spastic things that like
you go harder, you pull, you're this or that, and then you're like, okay, freeze. Yeah, let's do it this way. So that's a good lesson for any of your students that listen to this is like, what are you, like a 3rd or 4th degree black? What are you? Third degree? Yeah. Okay, I'm 2nd. I'll get my 3rd soon. But here we are talking about our problems as students, and it's like always learning. So I think any of your students or any of my students who watch this might have fun knowing that it's like, although we've got a lot of stuff figured out, we still have a lot more stuff to figure out. And I was telling someone the other day, you ever had that student who, for the life of you, just can't do the move, and they're just like, I know it's like a bad word, but it's like they're retarded. It's like they're just like, I don't understand. And you're like, just put your foot on the ground. You're like, my hand. And it's like, okay, put your right foot, okay, right there. And then they still mess it up. I was telling somebody like on the Hickson back take, it's like I tried to do it. I tried to do it in training. I tried to get a good drilling partner, like you would be perfect to drill with me on, and I just can't do it. And it's like my coordination of rubbing my belly and like doing that, and then walking backwards and shit. I'm just like falling all over the place like an idiot. And then I put the move to the side, and then I brought it back like 6 months later. Tried to do it, still can't. Put it to the side. I think it just, for whatever reason, it sunk in like 2 years later. I'm like, I could suddenly do it, and it was like, oh, I'm like, finally, that was my one retarded move, my one incompetent, uncoordinated, whatever. I was finally able to put it into place, and so it's kind of funny that even like a seasoned third-degree black belt like yourself, I'm sure you'll like you said, you go spastic sometimes or whatever, and it's like
Oh yeah.
we all do the same stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. Man, I have those moments all the time, and it's like, I think it's like great. I try, even like anytime I'm not having enough of those moments, I go try and find something I'm terrible at and like force the moment, because it's like, dude, it's good I think it's a good way to be, and all the people I kind of admire, I see them doing that. Like, they like, well, I know the people that are like really good in whatever they're in, and so they just stay in that so they can be the smartest.
Yeah, right.
They're like expert or in whatever thing, and it's like, then I see a lot of people, and it's like, dude, I'm like, you're a fucking expert. Like, I like recognize that person as an expert in whatever thing, and you see them like, oh, I went and did this, I went and do that, and like they're always doing it. So I try and do that. Like, I've gotten into like bike riding and doing that, and it's like, dude, I was really spastic and like terrible at it.
Yeah.
And I mean, swimming was like a thing for me. Like, dude, I would literally have panic attacks in the pool, like one lap. Like one lap. I couldn't even swim, not just like one length, not even a lap. And then I got all the way to be able to swim 1 mile.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like, dude, it was demoralizing.
Yeah.
Every day I was like, you should be kind to your students. Do you know what I mean? Because I do have those moments where I get frustrated.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're saying like, hey, do it this way. And I try and be like, I don't like harsh criticism in a lot of ways. So I try to be like really compassionate, like almost to like, because I'm like always like, are you trying to make it too soft? Because you shouldn't be too soft.
Right.
Right? Shouldn't be too pampered, but I don't want to try and tell people like, oh, you're a piece of shit, your moves are terrible. Right? I want the middle. And so, but then it's like, so I always find like, just go be terrible at something, and then you'll always like remember how that feels when you're telling someone when they can't do it.
Yeah, that's a good probably a good place to be, and just how to stay humble and stuff. I sometimes get like my students, and my students are just laid back. They're like, oh yeah, Jack's on his kick again. They don't, it's never personal to them, but I'm like, no, and then I'm like, I gotta chill the fuck out. But luckily it's never personal against them, and none of them have taken it personal to my knowledge at all. But they just kind of crack up like, oh, Jack's on his kick again, look. And which usually will actually diffuse me. I'm like, okay, sorry guys. Here, listen, let's start over. I think I forgot to explain a couple details. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like to think I just get like really passionate and engaged. I'm like get so excited, and then it's like, dude, you're being a little nutty.
Well, yeah, I've probably been a little nutty too. But what's interesting is that, like, for example, I don't know that there's probably lots of right ways to do things, but when you're trying, there's like 100 different armbar setups. There's all kinds of crazy shit. But sometimes I don't know if like some instructors are like, yeah, you could do it that way. Okay, fine, just keep it that way. And then for me, I'm like, no, I want to convey this one idea right now, and I want you to get it. So if they go like, oh, I set it up this way, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but right now we're learning this one, so I want you to do it this way. Like, oh, I can't, like work on it because this is what you're learning right now. And it's kind of funny because there's got to be a balance between, like different body styles. Like if I'm going, like I have my strength and conditioning coach, dude is jacked. For me to get like a deep bite on his back to like put over an arm bar or to like whatever, he's so thick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, if that was my training partner and my instructor's yelling at me like, no, you need to bite with your heel. And I'm like, dude, I can barely cross my legs on the guy, like in my closed guard. How the fuck am I supposed to? So there, you got to take, anyways, I'm trying to say you should have a lot of wiggle room and be soft with the students. But if you're trying to get them to understand a technique and doing it this way, I understand there's other ones, but we're not doing those other ones now. So there's like you were saying, there's a point where you're probably too hard, and then there's a point where you're too soft. Like, all right, fine. You know what? Don't even learn this one. You know. So.
Yeah, when that because I do have those moments. It's like where I'm like, the move is not even about the move that you think I'm teaching. The move is about this concept.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I need you to do that portion of it because it's really not about the whole move. And I used to get really more frustrated with that, and then I started trying to tell people no, exactly what
Right. But
I try and be I really clear with stuff, and I try and be really intentional with my words when I'm teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, no, I literally mean that. Literally, I'm very clear with my words there.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. And then I feel okay, maybe you're micromanaging, but no, sometimes it's you need to do that. I try and then have at least a solid explanation, because it's
right.
But if I don't, then it's I can, the contrarian in me can see yeah, I would probably want to not do it your way just because you can't tell me why.
Right.
But so I try and if I okay, I guess maybe it's a function of choose your battle too. I think kids keep me really honest in teaching. It's you better be really concise and clear, and if you want this to happen and you're gonna stand your ground on it, it better have a good reason, or the kids are gonna find your holes and crucify you.
And murder you. And I've only taught
I love that. The kids will keep you really honest. If something's crappy, an adult has some social truth about it. Kids are this is fucking crap.
Yeah, this is dumb. I don't like this. Yeah.
I don't like you. This is boring.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only taught 4 kids classes. And at the end of every single one of them, I'm just I feel I did 3 hours of rolling. I'm just oh my God. That's where I'm a white belt, as is teaching kids. The parents are like, oh, you did great. And I'm like, oh, I just feel like I got hit by a semi. Yeah. But
yeah, it's a different kind of workout. It's it's a mental workout, I think, and an emotional, keeping it it's a lot more to manage. It's because adults, you're just kind of you're in the room and I expect you to behave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think kids, not as much. The funniest thing is the younger the kid, the scarier they get. I found. I love the tiniest children.
Mm-hmm.
I would teach at my old school. I haven't started it yet. I'm about to start it at my new school. The 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 year olds. Dude, I could get people to cover the 6 to 13. You can find people if you're 3 to 6 year olds, dude, crickets.
Yeah.
No one wants to do it. They're all scared of them.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that class. I'm just it's to me puppies.
Yeah.
Right? If you approach them in the way that it's you're not really teaching jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. You're probably setting up just some of the coordination, the learning the names, some of the basic stuff, just how to get balance and whatever with their body. And
totally not touch people when they're sitting. You're teaching really basic social skills, I think, and how to somersault and how to do those things. So it's dude, but I watch people that come in and think they'll come in with these moves, a series of moves, and it's okay, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that complex thing.
Yeah.
Little kids are licking the floor and rolling around and just fucking running circles. Dude.
That's too funny. Yeah.
All right, Jack. What else is there anything you want to cover? Because I feel I don't want to take up your whole night. I bet you have stuff to do.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of done for the day, but not really. Just if you need anything from me, please hit me up. If there's anything I can do to help you or any way, shape, or form, just let me know. But yeah, I'm just kind of cruising, just kind of piecing out. And then anything that you need from me or any other questions that you had on, or like that you thought of that you might want to ask. But I feel like this has been a good, fun talk. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like now I got to know you a little better. And it reconfirmed, like, yep, still like Jack.
Yeah.
And once all this shit's over, you're still top on my list for us to
Thank
go
you so
on an
much.
adventure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I actually just talked to my friends down in Nicaragua today. I talked to my friend there. You know, they're going through just like in the Philippines. It's
Yeah.
a little different,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
All the
Because things
stuff.
is a little bit kind of serious. It was serious down there beforehand. And then, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know for them, what I understand a little of the hardship there is because a lot of people are going to Costa Rica to work, and then the Costa Rica shut the borders.
Oh, wow.
So that limits things for them a lot. And, you know, similar, you know, not as much governmental support. We can say what we want about the government here,
Right.
but, you know, when the government's of no support,
Yeah.
that's like different for the people there. So, yeah, just trying to keep those guys in mind. And, but definitely I want to be able to bring you down there. I think that you would, well, I think you would enjoy the adventure.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're kind of part of my, like we were talking about earlier, it's like being open to things and like, dude, who would I want to adventure with? And I'm like,
Yeah.
someone that would be good to go to Nicaragua, Jack,
That's
right?
awesome.
And
Yeah.
so,
I was so excited about that trip, except for the heat. But if everything, I would somehow embrace that. Like, fuck it. I'm sweating my balls off and whatever. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that if it comes to happen.
so I'm gonna make that happen. And dude, get ready for the heat because it's
Okay.
brutal. I was talking to someone about it today. It's like I was totally the person that they had to bring a fan for.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a hot building,
Yeah.
and those guys just train. And
Uh,
dude, they can train all day long, and it's like, dude, I'm dying, I'm
I'm done.
dying, I'm
Yeah.
dying. And they
Yeah.
have like, yeah, but they have great smoothies, and they have great beaches, and just like really cool people,
Yeah.
and a cool scene. And so
Cool.
yeah, we'll try and get down there. And then I'd like you also when everything's back online, get you up to Seattle again because I want to learn some more of the invisible jiu-jitsu, and I
Awesome.
want to show you my school.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it. Yeah. And once again, congratulations. Um, cool. So if you need anything from me, just hit me up and then let's stay in touch. Yeah. And
For sure.
give Griff a hug for me. And it's funny because I just thought of I can't believe I went blank on her name, but red hair. She's in Texas now.
Georgette.
Georgette, yeah, Odin. So Georgette, I gotta call her and say what's up because I met her through you guys. Actually, no,
Yeah, and
I
I
met her.
haven't talked to her in a bit.
Yeah,
Man,
I'll say hi to her for you. I'll
do
shoot
it.
her a
Yeah.
text tomorrow. Cool beans. Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for everything, and good luck riding out this craziness. And let me know if you need anything.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Jack.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, everyone, so that was episode 5 with Jack Taufer. If you want to check out more about what Jack's up to, you can follow him on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Jack Taufer. You can check more episodes out at Cindy Hales Show on Instagram, Cindy Hales Show on Facebook, or cindyhales.com on the internet. If you want, also, if you're ever in the area, stop by my gym. It's Sleeper Jiu Jitsu. You can find more about the gym at sleeperjj.com. We have gear and all that good stuff. As always, take care and thanks for listening.